One second. Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Alejandra Arguez. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm one of the program coordinators at the Idea Engineering Student Center. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Southern California. So Corona Riverside area. I did my undergrad at UC Davis, and then I did my master's at San Diego State. And I've been full-time at UC San Diego for almost 5 years this upcoming year. So really exciting times. Today, I'm going to go over what our center does to support our undergraduate engineering students. You're going to hear about our programs as well as how we support our student leaders. And you will hear from two amazing student leaders who have been involved on campus. So at that point, I definitely encourage you to be active in asking questions. We have a preset of questions, but if y'all have questions for them, feel free to unmute yourselves when we are at that portion. This is really intended for y'all to learn about how to succeed as an incoming engineering student. So IDEA, what do we stand for? So IDEA stands for Inclusion, Diversity, Excellence, and Achievement. So our goal is to foster an inclusive and welcoming community to increase retention and graduation rates and promote a sustainable culture of academic excellence among all engineering students at UC San Diego. So a few of our resources. So we do offer our ELCs, or our engineering learning communities. So these are collaborative study groups where they're led by a peer educator, so almost like a tutor. You connect with other folks on these different course topics. So the ELCs are available for the Math 20 series as well as Math 18, for the Chem 6A series, and Physics class. So a lot of the times our incoming students struggle with some of the STEM classes. So again, please know that this is a resource for you that's available if you are wanting extra assistance on your math, physics, and chem series. So the ELCs are online for the fall quarter. If you have questions about how to find that information, you would just click on, and I'll make sure to share the presentation with the CASP folks so you can have that information. So again, 97% of ELC participants would recommend it to their fellow peers. And I've heard great things. I feel like if anything, you end up having a community of folks that you can connect with. And you do have to apply to be a part of it. So I do realize that on this presentation, it has an incorrect date. So what I'll make sure to do is share this with an updated date so you all know when the application deadline is. For gear, I actually help coordinate gear. So as a first year student incoming, you might be thinking, what research opportunities are there for me to be a part of? So gear is a program that's ran through the Idea Center. We do place students in a year-long lab placement. As part of the program, students are enrolled in Eng 20, which is an introduction to engineering research class. Students receive mentorship from a PI. So what that means is you're receiving mentorship from a faculty member as well as the graduate students and Idea Center staff. So that's me. I really focus on making sure students are working hard on their resumes as well as kind of thinking long-term in terms of what's next for them. We also host workshops and socials as part of the program. And at the end of the year, students work on a poster presentation, which is a culmination of the work that students worked on in the lab. So for this one, applications will open in March/April, so pretty much early spring quarter. So you all will be eligible to participate or to apply for the program once you're in your winter quarter here. So if you are a transfer student, you're more than welcome to apply as well. This is really for your second year. You just can't be graduating the year prior. And again, if you were curious about what is research, what that means, I can actually put in the chat here our previous, if you scroll down and then put explore, click on the explore year projects, you'll see projects that our previous students have worked on. I know I was a first generation college student when I went to UC Davis. I was like, what does that mean? What does it mean to do research? It was really scary and overwhelming to think about. So I think this could serve as a really good opportunity for you just to see what students are working on and what it means to work on a project. Other programs that we do have include, we host a Eng 10 class. So this is a fundamentals of engineering application. So students learn how math topics are applied to solving engineering problems, as well as the course also combines applied mathematics, engineering design. So students learn Python and Arduino to complement lectures and to provide hands-on experience solving real-world engineering problems. So students in this class, so it's like a 2-unit seminar class that you enroll in the fall, winter, or spring. So definitely encourage you to enroll if this is something that you're wanting to learn more about, as well as you also create a community within the class. We also have Engineer Your Success, which is actually a course that our students participating in the Summer Engineering Institute this upcoming, that starts this upcoming weekend, will be enrolled in. So students in this develop a personal plan for academic success as an engineering student. Students learn more about themselves while building new habits. And again, because it's a specifically engineering course that's intended more for the holistic aspect, students do create a community of peers within the class. Okay, so then workshops and information sessions for engineers. So if you actually go on our Idea Center YouTube channel, you'll see our previous recorded workshops that were hosted this past year. Because of our move to remote, our workshops did take place on Zoom and virtually, so we did record them and post them. They range from career development, graduate school, technical, student wellness, study abroad. Student wellness workshops are not recorded and posted on YouTube because those were an opportunity for students to share personal things that they wanted to ask about. But again, those workshops are held throughout the week. So there are workshops intended to support your professional and personal and academic aspect of your own experience at UC San Diego. And then generally we advertise the events through our, either through MailChimp, through the JSOE listserv, or on our social media websites. Again, I do encourage you to follow us on Instagram or Facebook. We are very active, and a lot of the times we do highlight our student leaders or staff with the School of Engineering. So it's just a cool way for you to stay involved and know what's happening in the engineering community. So student travel fund. So this one's a really cool one. If you are a undergraduate engineering student, unfortunately, if you're a data science student, you're not eligible to apply for student travel funds. But if you are all part of the, perfect, thank you. For professional development funds, the School of Engineering offers professional development funds through the ring ceremony. So students who participated in our engineering graduation contribute to this as part of their fees. So you as a student, if you were to, let's say there was a conference happening in San Diego on bioinformatics, let's say you're a bioengineering student and the fee is $150. Oh, I really want to attend that conference. So you can apply for student travel funds, and the maximum per student is $300. So then you would submit your application, request the amount that you think you need. If it's $150, and then you could get awarded that amount. So thinking about how definitely having access to this throughout your 4 years, or the amount of time that you're at UCSD is really important, because students really do appreciate having access to these funds. The part is the applications must be submitted 4 weeks prior to the conference. So let's say it's 2 weeks before the deadline. It's probably not going to work out, because we do require time to approve the applications. So please know this is available to you. The funds are also available if you're part of an organization. So if you are part of an org and you're like, you want to go as a group, that's an opportunity for you to also apply together. I really want you to know about this because you're eligible to apply at least once a year. So I definitely recommend this because it's a great opportunity for you. So another part of what we do is support our engineering student orgs and project teams. So we have we do a lot with our student leaders. So in addition to being a program coordinator, I'm also the advisor for the Triton Engineering Student Council. So they help organize a lot of events throughout the school year. So why should you join student orgs? Because it gives you a chance to network, to grow, to make a difference, to develop transferable skills, and build your resume. And something that I cannot stress enough is the importance of that interpersonal skill set, as well as the networking that you do within your orgs. Because a lot of the times, especially within engineering, your peers are getting really cool internships at Netflix, at Google, at Northrop Grumman, at Illumina, like places nearby. So a lot of the times it's, oh, what did you do to get, like, how'd the interview go? It's always the chisme around town, like, oh, what can I do to do better? So again, it's a really good opportunity for you to gain some really valuable skills and also just have fun while you're at it. And then here's some pictures of some events that were hosted by CASP. So in terms of getting involved, so this is an actual date that we have. So the Idea Center is having their open house on Tuesday, September 21st from 2 to 4 in the Qualcomm room. So we do plan on having departments as well as student orgs there, just a small number of student orgs. So if you want to learn more about what organizations we have, you could click on, let me drop it on the link, and you can see all the awesome student orgs that are affiliated with the School of Engineering. So there are a ton of different organizations. So there's our diversity organizations and our project teams. So our project teams work on specific projects. Like Train Racing works on a race car, and then they go to the competition and compete. So really cool opportunities for you all. Other programs that the Idea Center has includes TEAM. So this is for our transfer students. So pairs incoming transfer engineering students with upper class transfer students. It also provides individual guidance and peer mentorship to ease the transition, creates a supportive community, and then there are 3 events per quarter for the students. So then so students do need to apply for this. So especially if you're a transfer student, I really do recommend this program. And I'm not sure if any of you for our transfers attended transfer prep. Hopefully you did. You definitely heard about TEAM. But if you didn't get the chance to attend transfer prep, definitely recommend TEAM as a way to build that engineering community. And then Sinai is one of the staff members right there. There's also JUMP. So this one's available for incoming first-year students. So applications do open also mid-September. So also intended to ease the transition to UCSD, to build mentoring relationships. So then there is a large network of peers, graduate students, alumni, and industry. Industry, what that means is that it's students that are, staff, so actual engineers who are working in engineering companies who want to support undergraduate engineering students. And there are 4 to 5 events per quarter that includes like soft and hard skills training. And Sinai always gets pizza and food. So that's pretty awesome. So we were talking about getting involved. So TESC has an engineers on the green, which generally happens on Warren Mall, but because of current, like right now, Warren Mall has these large tents for outside classes. So TESC is still finalizing their location, but this is like the biggest, most awesome event for you to attend if you're wanting to get involved in an organization. You'll definitely see emails for it once we start school. So generally it happens week 1, and it's pretty much a whole student org involvement fair where almost all the orgs are invited. So then engineering career fairs, we're also finalizing the dates. Again, with our move back to campus, we're still finalizing the space for these events. So attending career fairs is also a great way to get an internship. There's professional evening with industry, which is organized by the diversity organizations. And there's matcha that is organized by TESC. And those dates are still in the planning of being announced, pending on the location. So really great things that are happening that student leaders are organizing. Okay, so then I'm just gonna keep on. Okay, great. So then connect with us, follow us on our social media websites, and then follow, as well as stay involved with our e-news. What I want to transition to next is our panelists. Let me go ahead and find, I think, Natalia and Andurat, who are able to answer, talk about their own experience as engineering students. Let me find. If our incoming panelists could go ahead and turn on their video, as well as, okay, hi Natalia.
Hello.
And then let me find Andurat. Oh, there they are. Perfect. Okay, So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just ask our two panelists to introduce themselves. So Natalia, since I have you here already, if you could mention your name, your pronouns, your college, and then your major.
Yeah, okay. So, hi, my name is Natalia Bautista, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. My college is Warren College, and my major is mechanical engineering with an emphasis in environmental.
Thank you. And then Underwrap, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Undua. I'm a now fourth year computer engineering student from Warren College as well.
Awesome. What I wanted, and Underwrap, since I have you here first, is to share a little bit about your experience as an engineering student at UCSD.
I would say most of it revolved around the Idea Center for me, because personally for me, I did SEI, which is a summer program that the Idea Center typically hosts for incoming freshmen. I know there's also like a related one for transfer students, but with COVID, I think they were doing a different virtual kind of one. So I apologize about that for any of the new incoming people, but the Idea Center community is still great. And through the Idea Center and the summer program I did, I met most of my friends or close friends who are all engineers, which helped like for me to like stay motivated, find like study buddies and things like that, which really helped for me personally. And also outside of the classroom, like also to get involved with like organizations, clubs and orgs, and like visit career fairs, and like do professional development and like learn about research and things like that. So there's a lot to it. I can go more into it, but it'd be probably go over time. So I'll move it to Natalia.
It sounds like you're on mute, Natalia. I'm not sure what happened to your audio.
I forget my computer has a button where I can mute myself. So yeah, definitely. How she said, there's definitely a lot of organizations inside the Idea Center. I believe it was more through the Idea Center where I started branching out into clubs and organizations like SWE, that's the Society for Women Engineers, and then SHIP, the Society for Hispanic Engineers. But there's a lot more organizations that you can join. You can even join those. You don't necessarily have to be a woman or a Hispanic. They're all open to any person. But yeah, it was throughout these organizations that they bring in panelists of their own, and they bring workers from companies who want to help you start your resume or want to help you start practicing how to have an interview with a company.
And then my next question for you, and then Natalia, since I have you here, is what student activities have you been involved in on campus?
Doesn't necessarily have to involve the Idea Center.
No, actually even better, because again, we're in the CASP, we're presenting for CASP, right? So I mean, definitely students can be involved in a lot of different things.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of activities on campus. I believe Muir College usually has this watermelon drop. It used to be very famous before COVID. So yeah, they just go to the tallest building in Muir. I believe it was Tuolumne. I'm not sure. But they just drop down a watermelon and see it explode on the floor. You're right. There we go. That was one of my favorite experiences as a first year. Yep, definitely fun. I believe we're gonna go back to. I haven't been able to attend, but it was Trident Fest, where it's on Sun God Lawn, and we just go together. There's a bunch of games and little activities that they do there. I have not been able to go, so I can't really say about that. But yeah, it should be fun.
And then Underup, what activities have you been involved with on campus?
There's a few varied ones. I mainly got into like research that I learned about through the Idea Center and have gotten really into it now. That's what I want to pursue as like a career and go into grad school. So like professionally, that's what I'm interested in. Not not related to engineering. I'm also an RA on campus. My first year was last year, which is interesting with COVID. A lot of trying to do professional development, like meetings and events. I think probably you could relate to it. Trying to make interesting events for for me, residents is through Zoom was interesting. So you can ask if you guys have questions about things like that. You could ask me too. Outside of that, I am part of HKNN and SWE, but I don't often get to go to all the meetings. It's more just like occasional visits and like checking all the newsletters. What else? I think those are like the main things I'm involved in right now. There's like other, as I go along, there's like different things. I used to do a lot of hackathons. They were pretty fun if you're doing it with a friend and you're not too stressed about the competition. Because not to discourage anyone, but all honesty, the person who gets like the first prize is somebody who's been working on a project for like their entire life or something, and they're just presenting it at the hackathon and not actually doing like the 24-hour challenge thing. There's also like very unhealthy stuff that happens at hackathons, which I'm starting to stay away from, of like the caffeine and the not sleeping. And it's like the whole like toxic working, like nonstop working type of mentality that I'm like, okay, let's not be toxic engineers, you know, we're like, but that's that. So I haven't really gone to a hackathon in a while because I'm like, let me stay away from that. If you do go to hackathons, the best part is the free merch. You have tons of merch, and I would highly recommend, maybe if you're like a freshman, to go to some of the hackathons because you'll get company recruits from there. And especially if you go like late and there's like nobody at those booths, you could go ask them to like review your resume. Like, so if you go up to like Northrop Grumman and stuff and they have somebody there late, the people there are there to technically help for the projects, but they welcome anybody who like gives them free resumes. So like they can critique it, you can edit it up, and you can either go like print it out or email it and like a fixed version and then send it to them. So those are like easy, or not easy, just side doorways to like meet recruiters and company people. There's also like research funds and things like that. Yeah.
That's interesting that you mentioned that about the certain type of culture on hacking. I help task with their SD hacks. So good things for me to be aware of from the student perspective too. That's a great question. So for Aduna, if you want to answer, how often are hackathons done at UCSD?
We have a few. There's like the yearly big ones like SD hacks. For SD hacks, you'll get people from like outside of UCSD. I think some of the biggest ones is like LA hacks and the ones at like Berkeley, because those like people will literally, or schools will get like a whole bus full of people that will like get like shipped to the place, and those are like intense competitions, but those also have like the best like snacks and stuff too. So if you want to just go like hang out and like learn about the experience and don't want to be like stressed out, I would say hackathon if you're in like computer engineering or like CS. I would definitely recommend at least attending one. You don't have to be like serious. Oh, not to discourage that. If you have an idea and you're able to do it, go try it. I think it's a good experience to like at least try presenting during a hackathon just to like get that practice in. It's like low risk. There's nothing that can like go wrong if you fail, or like if you freeze, because there's no like, what's it like you're not bound to anything. So I feel like that's a good way to like practice like talking about engineering, because I feel like that's hard for a lot of engineers to like explain what the ideas in their heads are to like other people. There's also different kinds of hackathons. There's a lot. There's SD hacks is like the most like varied, and you can do more like, it's pretty much like up to you whatever you want to do. There's also like hard hacks, which is hosted by like IEEE. So that's more like the hardware folks, electrical folks. Last time they had like a Qualcomm breadboard, and they had like Raspberry Pis, and some of the challenges would be like to use one of them. There's also, and also a side note with a lot of those hackathon projects, it's more about proof of concept than actually completing the project, because they want to know more, because the idea is it's 24 hours or like 48 hours. So it's not that you can build this whole company into like 2 days. It's more that you can show this idea and it's like pre-startup vibes kind of thing. There's also the data science department does some, the COGS department does some. So there's a lot of different types of hackathons. The big ones are annual. Usually almost all of them are annual, I think. Yeah. I don't know any that's not annual. But
Yes, definitely. I think for any of you interested in hackathons, I definitely encourage you to stay up to date with what we post on our e-news. It will always, student orgs hackathons will always be in our e-news because they want to advertise it. So definitely something for you to keep in mind. SD Hacks, you'll know when they're advertising for it because there's no way to go around not seeing the advertisement for it. And then we send a generalized email to all of our undergraduate engineering students so that they know that it's happening for applications. There are also some other ones. HackXX is geared specifically for our female engineering students. There's also a mini hackathon that SHIP, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, does. But yeah, it's intended to be a fun experience. My next question.
Before we end,
oh yeah,
Nicole messaged me and asked more about SEI. So in case you don't know what the SEI is, it's the Summer Engineering Institute. So I am going to be a peer facilitator for this summer. But I can tell you that when I attended, which was 2019, it was in person, and it was, I believe, a 5-week program in which you lived on campus and you took at least 2 classes, and you had to participate in these learning communities where you'd meet a lot of people, you'd have your own floor, you'd talk to the people on the floor, and yeah, you just be there, you'd attend a lot of activities that they did, a lot of workshops. It was very time consuming, but you also had time to make a lot of friends. You definitely get a great feel of being on campus if it's your first time. It was my first time ever being on campus, so it was definitely helpful in figuring things out. Like, I had no idea where Warren College was. So I had no idea where MA Building 1 or Building 2 was at. So it was very confusing. So if you haven't been on campus, I would definitely recommend at least going once, get the feel of it. And if you don't, then there's always Google Maps. I use Google Maps a lot as a freshman, so it's definitely okay.
Awesome. And it sounds
Google Maps. That will help you figure out your classes, especially for those who haven't been on campus. Before your first day of classes, I would highly recommend trying to go through your schedule of like what the classes are and make sure like you have enough time between your classes and find those shortcuts because they will come in handy.
Yeah, definitely plan your routes.
I agree to that. I know as a staff member going from one meeting to another when we were on campus, I was like, okay, what's the quickest way to get there? So definitely take that advice. I did want to mention, really excited to see you, Nicole, on Saturday. I sent an email with the schedule in Google Drive. So very exciting. So for anyone else that's here, our SEI program is closed now. If you haven't already gone through the steps. But again, being a part of events like this where you learn about what resources we have is what prepares you to get, you don't have to be part of SEI to still become part of the engineering community. So that's why we're here. So you learn about all our resources. The convenient part about SEI is that students really do learn about our programs, but that's why we are here. So you learn about what we offer. Another question that I had, and it seems like, yes, and it's for campus, is have you had an internship or research experience on campus? If so, tell us a little bit more about what you learned in both positions. Natalia.
Yeah, okay. So as a freshman, I was offered the Regent Scholarship. So I was given the opportunity to do first year research with any professor. And I decided to go with thermodynamics. I believe I was an intern. I was not paid, so absolute intern. For a graduate student under my professor. It was Professor Chen, and I essentially just gathered analytical data for my graduate student. So it wasn't necessarily that I got to experience a lot of hands-on, but I did see a lot of data, and I was able to talk to my graduate student who explained a lot of information towards me. So yeah, it was definitely eye-opening.
And then if you can mention a little bit about your upcoming position this summer, because again, you can also work on campus in a lot of cool positions. So we can also talk about that.
So yeah, okay. So currently I am registered as a SEI peer facilitator. So I will be working with anybody attending SEI. I will be guiding your community activities. I will be there helping you out if you have any questions. If you're worried about your classes, you can come rant to me. And yeah, I'm just there to facilitate your integration. And I am also a warring orientation leader. So if you don't know what that is, it's essentially you're going to be greeted by some third year, second year students. And we're just going to tell you a little bit about campus, the workshops, because there's a lot of workshops on campus, lots of organizations and lots of resources that are available to you guys. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Andura?
So I haven't really done internships more because I was going to as a research route. One of my main experiences was I did the McNair program. So that's a scholarship fellowship aimed towards minority. If well, it's not the AEP anymore. I forgot what it was. It's called the undergrad research something at UCSD. If you're interested in research, I would highly recommend checking out their site because they have a lot of programs for it. Yeah, there you go. I should put it in the chat. But they're really great. Everybody there is super friendly. There's different scholarships and fellowships you can apply for, especially summer ones. Most of them will give you stipend. Like the McNair one gives you a stipend. A lot of them also includes housing. So it's basically the caveat is you only have to work on the project and you can't do other jobs or classes. So basically they're going to invest in you. Some of the programs are about like 5,000, the top ones. The others are like more like 1,000, I think. But they're also giving you housing. And so it's just extra money on top of everything. And the only thing you got to do is just focus on whatever work it is. Most of them have applications that are due in fall. I think McNair was in October, but they're all around the same time. You can go to the Idea Center to ask for help on those applications. That's what I did. I don't know if you guys know Ruben yet, but he's the Idea Scholars coordinator now. Yeah, but I go to him a lot and go bug him when I need help on applications. But that's a good way to also connect. You can also ask your PFs if they're willing. I don't know. Most of them are super helpful and friendly. You can ask your ELC people. I feel like most people within the Ideas Center is very helpful and very friendly. So if you go up and ask for any of them for help, they'll be willing to help. So if you have applications or you want to learn more about research, whatever research field you're interested in, I can guarantee you that there's at least one Idea Scholar who's done one of those interest fields. So you can maybe go ask to meet their professor, connect like that if you're interested in research. There's also research outside of UCSD that you can do. This summer, I just did a program with Georgia Tech. It's a summer one. This is my last week in the program, and that was really nice for me because I wanted to know like if I really wanted to do research, and so I got to know like outside of UCSD because UCSD becomes this like safe space for you. You start to get to know all the professors because they're in your classes, and upper div they start to repeat, you know, so it's more comfortable with them. But then now it's more like scary trying to talk to this other professor in some unknown school, and they're like, are they even going to reply back to me, you know? But that's part of being interested in research and part of just anything in general. It's a lot of sending cold emails. I still freak out about that, and I like write drafts and I just sit there staring at it like I don't want to send it. But if I don't send it, you know, they're not going to respond, right? They can't respond to an email that they haven't received. So part of wanting to do research and getting experience is just sending out emails. If you are going to send emails though, and it's a professor that you really want to do research with, I would highly recommend trying to read some of their papers. It's okay if you don't understand them. I still struggle with reading research papers, and I've been doing research for like a couple of years now. Just talk about it, ask some questions about it, say you want to learn more, set up a meeting with the professor, and those are like steps you can do to like start doing research and to get to know professors. I can guarantee you no professor will turn down an opportunity to talk about their research. It's a matter of whether they have time or not. So yeah.
Very true. I know we have 5 minutes left. What I want to do is see if anyone in the audience wants to ask any questions. If not, the last question is, what pieces of advice our panelists have?
Sorry, earlier, I think it was Twain asked a question on computer engineering.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if anybody else here is computer engineering. If you are, feel free to put in the chat. But it's more of a very much like a varied and flexible field, actually, because you get the option to go into software or hardware, whichever you choose, because you're both CS and you're both electrical. Your lower div classes are going to be very heavy CS just because how UCSD is structured. Whether you're in the CSE department or ECE department, you're going to be doing the same classes. It's the same workload. It's just a matter of like maybe in like the upper divs, what like slight electives might be different. And with the upper divs, I think there's about like 5 classes that are like required, and the other like 7 or 8 is pretty much up to you. So with that, you get to decide what you want to make of the computer engineering degree. So if you liked your electrical or like the hardware driven ones, and you can take more of those upper divs. If you liked your software programming ones, you can take more of those. So there's a lot of flexibility in it. Sometimes it gets very confusing because it feels really vague. I know there's been moments when like me and my other computer engineering friends, like we're sitting in class and we're like, you don't feel like you understand enough electrical to survive your electrical classes, and you don't feel like you understand enough CS to survive your CS classes, but it's okay, you'll get through them. Make friends in your classes, create those study groups, that will help. And so yeah, other than that, I don't know if you had any more specific questions about it. No, you say you're a freshman, but feel free to ask if you have more specifically about like classes or like more of just like what it would be like in industry or research.
What pieces of advice, Natalia, do you have as we wrap up for incoming engineering students?
Definitely plan out your week. There's gonna be a lot of stuff you want to attend, a lot of classes you're gonna have to be doing, a lot of homework that you're probably not gonna remember on the spot. But yeah, definitely plan out your week and just get to know people. Don't isolate yourself in some classes because there's definitely gonna be questions that you're not going to be able to answer by yourself. And don't be afraid to ask your professor as well. Sometimes they're available, sometimes they're not, but as long as you try to email them. A lot of lectures, I believe, some are going to be remote, some we're going to go back to in person. A lot of classes do have TAs or supplemental instruction leaders. You guys are freshmen, so you guys are going to have supplemental instruction for more of your lower division classes. So you guys are going to have the chance to go to like a separate discussion session at Gaizo Library where you go and you do more practice problems or go ask questions that you don't know. Even at the library on the bottom floor, you do have the teaching learning commons where you can go. It's similar to ELC, but in case you don't get into ELC, there's always the teaching learning commons where you can go to a tutor and they help you solve out problems. They help answer your questions, and there's always resources you can go to that'll help you. Oh, and yeah, similar to how Undawat was saying, there are different sections of mechanical engineering. So if you are a mechanical engineer, there's environmental, there's thermo, there's what else is there? There's design, there's dynamic systems and control. There's a lot of classes. You're gonna have to figure out your schedule and everything. So just be prepared. I know sometimes the sign-up schedules can be pretty messy and you're always struggling getting into that class you want to get. So be prepared to plan.
Also, go talk to the senior people in your majors. Talk to different people because you'll get different like fields of specifics, and they'll tell you different things. Sometimes some people just click with a professor, and sometimes like they don't. And so you want to figure out who are the good professors, not just like to get like easy A's or something, but sometimes like even if a class is an easy A, but you learn nothing from it, the classes will build up on each other. So once you get to the next class, you might struggle. So consider on those, because if it's a lower div, you might need something very specific for like a next level class. If it's like an upper div class and it's not a prereq for anything else, you could probably get away with just taking like the easiest professor. Granted that it's not something you also want to continue into the, like your career, like research or whatever future. So like be smart about planning your classes with that, because there's a variety of engineering fields, and within each engineering field there's a variety of like depths you can go into, and you will be required to take certain classes that sometimes you'll hate, you won't understand, you just got to get through it. So talk to find out who's the good professors, what the resources you have, and definitely put yourself out there. I can't emphasize that enough. It's really hard and it's really scary. Me, even as a fourth year, struggle with this sometimes, and it's really nervous, and like you start to get like sometimes like imposter syndrome kicks in, or like you're just like, well, they're not gonna reply. Like, why does it matter? Like, why should I, right? But like I said earlier, like if you don't send out an email, they can't reply to it, right? Or like if you don't go to office hours, they can't answer your question and you're just stuck, you know? And if you are also like really recommend office hours. If office hours is too scary, you could go to, if not the professors, the TAs. And if not, then you could also try just other students, study groups. ELCs are good. The library has many, many resources. Oasis is a good spot. Just reach out. Any of the diversity orgs, a lot of them do study jams. So if you're too scared to ask a professor, go ask another student. You know, the worst they can say is no, they don't. Like they don't know like the topic, right? And if you both don't know, you can sit together and like try to understand it yourself. And if they get like mad at you for asking a question, then you shouldn't be talking to that person anyway, because then they don't deserve to be in your life. But yeah, I'd just say like put yourself out there, reach out, and just know you'll be fine. It'll be overwhelming, but you'll be okay. And if you need to just cry, that's fine. That'll happen. Either you or your roommate or both of you will have a point where you just randomly cry, and that's okay. Okay. That's my one advice for anybody in college.
Thank you for that, Underweb. Crying is definitely very much a part of all the educational experience, grad school, undergrad, life sometimes. And it's just good to have that village there that's there to support you. I know it's time, so we will go ahead and wrap up. I'll pass it on over to Sarah. As a reminder, I know that Underweb posted her email in the chat. I know, Justin, you have specific questions about course series. I would recommend connecting with a major advisor on that specific question, because everyone's going to have a different background. But again, thank you so much. And a reminder, follow us on social media so that you can know what events we're hosting in the fall to support our students, as well as ELC deadlines, jump our team if you want to be a part of that to get connected to an upper class student. And that is it for us today. Thank you so much. And thank you to our awesome panelists. Y'all are great.
Thank you so much for the presentation and our panelists. And if you have any more questions, feel free to email them or email the Academic Advising Center if you have any questions about like your classes or like your credits coming in from your community college or high school. All right. And other than that, I think we are done for today. All right.
Bye, everyone. Have a good Thursday.
Have a nice day.